This is what we're working on today. This tailgate has seen a better day. So it doesn't look too bad from this vantage point, but then you get a little bit closer and you can see that it's got some problems. Got a missing piece here, and we're going to fix this. It's got a missing cross member here. It's got some cracked welds here and there. So what we're going to do is, rather than try to grind out this side and redo it, we'll actually weld it on the back side. See, like right here, this would be perfect. Once we get this mesh off, then we can just go through and weld all of this stuff in through here. And then we'll put in some new cross members. Right here, it looks like it's missing 2, so we'll get that in there. And this is the material we're going to replace it with. It's number 9 flat. It's a 4x8 sheet of expanded metal. It's a fairly simple job, but there's a lot of tools needed to accomplish this. You can see it's got a bunch of screws holding on this temporary plywood piece. That was just to cover up that hole. So it's going to involve a screw gun. I'm not sure quite yet if we're going to stick weld it or MIG weld it. Probably we'll end up stick welding it because it's just a little more forgiving when it comes to rust. We'll talk more about that later. I'm going to try to plasma cut off the welds by just scarfing them off. I think that that'll help save maybe on some time and on grinder discs. But if not, we can always use a cut-off wheel. Gonna need a wire brush. So we're gonna be using a lot of tools today, and this should be a fun one, so stick around. You can see she's seen a better day, but we're going to fix it and we're going to make it better. First thing I think I'm going to do is just go around and try to scarf off all these little welds all along it and get this off there, and then we can grind all of our welds flush with a grinder. I'm going to start off using my Cut 55 DS Pro, and if you want to know how plasma cutter works, I have an awesome video for that, and I'll either link it up above or I'll put it down in the video description. But I've got my air pressure set at like 30, and I explain how you know how to set that as well. I'm going to put my amperage at 25. This is a dual voltage machine, so you can run this on 110 or 220. I'm currently plugged into 220 volts. Now that we got the old one off, what we'll do is we'll start grinding down all these little weld points, get that all nice and smooth. Then we'll cut some cross members to go in here, fill that back in. Now I'm just using a 40 grit wheel to grind these down. Check that out. That's what you call using your grinder right to the very last piece. So I got those all ground down now. Now we just got to get a measurement, put a couple replacements in here. I told them I didn't have any 1-inch angle, but I do have some 1.5 inches. So we're just going to throw a piece of 1.5 inches in there. Help strengthen it up a little. Butt that up over there. It's looking like 17.5. So we'll make a little mark there. Do the same thing on this one. Mark that at 17.5, and that will be the scrap for that one. Put a little straight line there. If you guys are in the market for a metal cutting saw, this is probably the cheapest deal around. As of right now, this saw is $149 and it does bevel cuts both ways. So this is an awesome tool. It's a good way to get into a chop saw for not a lot of money. I wish they had stuff like this when I was starting out, but you know, something like this back in the day when I started would have been thousands of dollars. So the prices are coming down. Evolution tools are awesome if you know anything about them. They're incredible stuff. Nice burr-free cut, no sparks through the shop. It's awesome. I'm going to clean up the area where those welds are going, and then we'll weld them up in. I want these to be flush right here on the back side, so rather than try to like sit there and hold them and balance it, I'm just going to put a stop on here, clamp a stop, so that then we can just clamp that to the stop. Just a temporary piece that we're going to put on there. Obviously we can't weld it on the back side with those little plates on there, so I'm going to fold the tailgate up and we can get it welded on the other side, then take the plates off and do it on the inside. And this is what it looks like on the back side. I'll just get a few tacks on there, or maybe I'll just fully weld it out. Probably just weld it out. And I think I'm going to stick weld it. The reason for that is that I'm going to be using 6011 rods, and you don't really have to worry too much about getting it clean with 6011. That's not to say that you shouldn't, but there's been some tests on the internet. I think Welding Tips and Tricks did some stuff with welding over just extremely rusty metal, and that's going to work perfect for this because it's hard to get. It's going to be hard to get in on the back side of these areas to weld these, because I'm going to go over all of these just to clean it up. Because like I said, some of these welds have some cracks in them, and I just want to fix it, make it right for them. So this is what I'm using. They're Washington alloy, 6011, 3/32. And if you look on the back, right here, it says it has a tensile strength of 80,000, which usually I thought 6011 had a tensile strength of 60,000, but I don't know. So 3/32. They're saying for flat, you can run it 50 to 75 amps, vertical and overhead 30 to 70. We're going to go right to the low end, 30, and we'll start there and see how that works. And I'm actually running my welder on 120 volts. So let's go down to 30. See how that works. This welder will actually run on 300 feet of extension cord on 120 volts, which is just mind-blowing to me. It's got voltage sensing in it that does whatever magic it does within it to make up for that loss. So right now we're on 120 volt, but it's also dual voltage. You can run it on 240 as well. Nope, not enough amperage. Try that. Just jumped it up to 40. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I gotta go a little bit hotter. You're gonna go 45. Yep, there we go. That's the sweet spot. Yep. 45. That's what it likes. Now we can take off our little braces here. I do want to weld these cross members up inside here using stick for the reasons that I said on 6011. Flux core really just doesn't like to chew through rust and paint and stuff like that. It's really not the process. 6011 really excels when it comes to just having really dirty metal. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that seems to be the sweet spot. Yeah, this is the way to do it. Another great thing about 6011 guys versus like a 7018 is that it starts really well. You don't have to like chip the end of it like you do with 7018. You can kind of just like meal it in there and it'll just light because they struggle to get it wet. There we go. They're a little springy though, so if you see me, I'm kind of like supporting the rod with my hand just so it's not bouncing around. When they get shorter, it's not as bad. Once you get them burned down a little bit. Alright, I decided I'm going to break out the MIG welder. It's just going to be way faster because it's wire feed. I'm just using 30 thousandths flux core, so it's not really MIG. MIG is with gas, so this is just self-shielded wire. It's going to go a lot faster, and it's going to be a lot easier welding on that tailgate mesh, doing it with this process. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, we can put the wire mesh down. Then I'll bring you in and show you everything that we've done so far. That is going to work pretty slick, guys. Just so I don't lose my way on this, I'm going to put a mark on every one of them where I got to cut it. You could cut this with a circular saw, jigsaw, you could do a cutoff disc, but the plasma cutter should make pretty short work of it. Whenever I work with expanded metal, I like to take, you see how this edge is up like this? This can get kind of sharp and it can get caught on your clothes. So what I like to do is take a pair of vice grips, clamp it on it, and then just turn it so that it's flat, see? So that it's horizontal. And then what I'll do is I'll just weld that onto the trailer. I do that all the way around. That's why I made sure I cut the other side the way I did. Because if you cut it so that you have like a little end here and a little end here and you don't leave this little joining piece, it just makes it hard to weld. So if you can cut it on, you know, the center of one of these, it makes it a lot easier. And like I said, then you can just go down through and just put a pair of vice grips on, then just turn it. And then I'll just clamp each one of these and then just give it a little tack right on the end, and that'll get rid of any sharp edges. With it all cut to size, now I'm just going to start stitching it together every so often along that leading edge, and then I'm going to come back through and do every one of them. That way when you're loading stuff up and down, it doesn't catch it and possibly roll it back and ruin it. It's all welded. Now I just got to grind my welds and I'll bring you in and show it to you real close. And here it is, guys, all finished. I think this came out awesome. See some of the welds. Pretty much welded it everywhere where the factory had welded it, and then I added some additional weld by welding them on the outside edges. And you look to the back, looks really good. Didn't paint it because I don't really have a whole lot of room to paint it in here without getting everything covered with overspray. He's a pretty handy guy, he'll probably just spray it himself. So yeah, there it is, all done, finished, and complete. Should be able to get a lot more years of service out of this trailer. There's all the scrap. If this is something you like, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. New videos every Friday. Thanks, guys. See ya.